NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, is a landmark international treaty. It was signed at the height of the Cold War. There was real fear that there was going to be a nuclear war at the time in the late 60s. There'd been the Cuban Missile Crisis earlier in the decade, and I think there was a real worry that more and more countries were going to get nuclear weapons. So they came to an agreement whereby countries without nuclear weapons would agree not to develop them in exchange for the technology to produce nuclear energy, and that the 5 countries that already had nuclear weapons, the UK, the US, the Soviet Union, France and China, would agree to disarm. And it served the international community pretty well. It was incredibly tense, so countries did well to sit down and put together something diplomatically that would prevent the spread of nuclear weapons. It has 3 objectives: to prevent the spread or proliferation of nuclear weapons, to promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, and to further the goal of achieving nuclear disarmament. It's done pretty well on the first 2. There's only one country that's ever left the treaty and developed nuclear weapons, and that's North Korea. And only 3 states have never joined the NPT: Israel, India and Pakistan, all of which now possess nuclear weapons. It could have been a lot worse. And the NPT contains the only legal commitment by 185 states never to develop nuclear weapons. So there's definitely a lot of good to be said about the NPT, but there are certain failings which we're actually hoping to address. And one of the problems with it is that the part dealing with nuclear disarmament is too vague. It's called Article 6 of the NPT, obliges countries to negotiate in good faith to nuclear disarmament. There's no time frame, they're only obliged to negotiate rather than to actually disarm. And also the fact that the treaty acknowledged that there are 5 nuclear weapon states at the time of signing has been taken by those 5 countries as some kind of special status that they have, that they're somehow allowed to keep their nuclear weapons forever. And the decades have gone by without adequate progress on disarmament. There's been too much emphasis on non-proliferation, on not spreading weapons to new countries, and not enough determination to achieve progress on disarming the countries that already have them. Any use of nuclear weapons would be absolutely catastrophic. And once you look at the terrible consequences of nuclear weapons, the only thing that you can say is that we have to prevent their use. Because in a medical way of looking at things, there's no treatment, there's no cure for the use of nuclear weapons. The only way to prevent the horrible things from happening is to prevent them. And so we have to eliminate them. One key strategy that we have is to push ahead with a ban treaty with or without the support of nuclear-armed states. For decades now they've been blocking progress on disarmament, and we can't let them continue to block. The treaty that we hope will come in the next couple of years, even if they don't sign it, will have a massive effect on nuclear-armed states. It'll ban the use, production, stockpiling, finance and transferring of nuclear weapons. So even if the UK doesn't sign it, it's going to find it very difficult to continue being a nuclear arms possessor. 115 countries in the world are part of nuclear weapon-free zones. So the whole of Africa, the whole of Latin America and the Caribbean have signed treaties. There's completely free of nuclear weapons. You're not allowed to dock your ship there if it has nuclear weapons on it. You're not allowed to finance them. And these are really fantastic building blocks that we can use to make the whole world a nuclear weapon-free zone. It's time now to ban nuclear weapons. It's not a radical proposition. It's a very sensible and pragmatic approach. And I think the world is ready to do that now.